Is at Purdue, 40-29. Ninth-ranked Wake Forest beaten in a barn burner by North Carolina, 58-55, but staying unbeaten. Number 1, Georgia. Number 4, Oregon out of the top 25. And then outside of the top 25, still unbeaten, Texas, San Antonio. And giving love to teams breaking into the win column for the first time this season, UNLV and the University of Arizona as the Wildcats break a 20-game losing streak. In the NBA Saturday, the Sixers are on a run. Joel Embiid leading them Saturday to a 6th straight victory.
Curry goes over to Maxey in the logo, back to Curry near right wing, high up there on the wing. 20 seconds left, shot clock down to 7. Sixers by 5, Embiid right corner 3, the dagger. Joel Embiid ties a season high 30 points, and he just made it 112-104 Sixers, 15 seconds left on the road. He waves to the crowd.
As the Sixers beat the Bulls, he had 15 rebounds as well, all the fun on 97.5, The Fanatic. In the NFL, Arizona's Kyler Murray, a game-time decision today with an ankle injury. He didn't practice all week. Cardinals are going to take on San Francisco later this afternoon. Coming up here on ESPN Radio, we've got an NFL doubleheader for you, starting with Minnesota at Baltimore. Coverage beginning at noon Eastern. That'll be followed by the Chargers and Eagles at 4 p.m. And again, on ESPN Radio and, of course, on the ESPN app.
We're back on Monday reacting to the opportunity for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to win a second straight game and an opportunity for Jordan Love to prove himself. Monday morning on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio.
This is ESPN 690 Game Day Live.
Sponsored by the DUUUVAL House.
Here's your host live from the DUUUVAL House, Brent Martineau.
Hey, welcome to Buffalo, everybody. Got the weather. You got to see plenty of the fans. It's not going to feel like Northeast Florida today, that's for sure. It is a weird weather weekend. Every time the Bills come to town, we get this kind of weather. It's actually unbelievable football weather. It's just no advantage for the Jaguars from a heat perspective, if you were hoping for that this time of year in November, which can be on occasion. When the Bills go down, play the Dolphins in November, December. That's not the case here this year. It should be a pretty good atmosphere, but again, it's going to be loaded up with Bills fans, and rightfully so, I guess. Well, I don't know about rightfully so. That's never what you want. At the same time, it is what it is, and we'll talk a little bit about it. It's a transient market. We got a bad football team in Jacksonville. They've got a very good football team in Buffalo right now. And really the story of this week is two opposite directions since the last time they met here in Jacksonville, which would have been on the calendar 2018 January wild card matchup, but it was the 2017 season. And then Buffalo Bills said, we're not good enough at QB. Let's go trade up twice and draft one. They get Josh Allen. He's now an MVP candidate after taking some early bumps, and they've built a really good football team around him, a solid defense. It doesn't have like the star power of the Rams, but might be just as good. And then on offense, they've got stars, and they can do it all, and they can score with the best of them. And Stephon Diggs leads the way with a variety of wide receivers as well. So that's the story from the Buffalo side. You know what it is. I mean, we've been talking about it all week. Number one scoring offense, number one scoring defense in the NFL. 14.5-point favorites here today as the Jacksonville Jaguars come in and just one win and since last September. That's now a 420-day span, and really they haven't won on American soil since that win over the Indianapolis Colts in the first game of the 2020 season. But the NFL is a funny thing. How do the Jags find a way to win? Can they bounce back from an awful performance last week against Seattle and really surprise the NFL world with a W? Although, should we be surprised anymore when we see a team like the Jets play so poorly most of the year, yet able to beat a good Cincinnati team and able to beat a pretty good Tennessee team? So I don't think anything would surprise us. But when you're a 14.5-point dog at home in the NFL, that's as close to as bad as it gets. Brent Martineau here at the DUUUVAL House, right on the foot of the Hart Bridge on a Sunday morning, made for football in November. Casey Kurtz back in the Action Sports Shack studios. Good morning, Casey.
What up? I sang some John Party on the way here, so I'm ready to speak. I don't know about intelligently, but just speak in general, so I'm ready to go.
Good job with the warm-up exercises. That's the way.
I do what I got to do. Especially, by the way, this threw me off. Time change. My phone said, when I woke up, phone said 7. Got in the car. Car said 8 something. I said, holy crap, I'm late. I'm going to miss the show. I rushed here to find out. I had no idea what was going on. But it's all good. We're here.
Yeah, you know what's crazy about all that is, like, I knew the time was going back. You know your phone kind of automatically does it now?
Yeah.
But I even set my phone a little bit earlier just in case I had to hustle out of there and it didn't do it. Like, I wasn't in full trust mode. So
no.
It was nice to get the extra hour for sure. The only bad part about the extra hour is now it gets dark so damn early. And now it's going to feel like we're in Buffalo and up north, you know, where it gets dark so early now.
That is true.
For the next few months. But we'll deal with that. These are dark days here in Jacksonville right now for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and just starving for a win. And I think the wins are so important for this franchise because I've really thought about this more over the last couple of weeks. I'm like, all right, the Jags are not going to be great this year. We knew that from the outset. I mean, nobody, and not even me, Sunshine and Rainbows positive guy, thought the Jags were going to go win 8 games, 9 games. I said their ceiling was probably about 7 or, well, if everything went right, maybe 8 games in a 17-game season. So that's not even 500. But I thought they could get 6 to 7 wins, and I think I was more on the 6 side of things. They really messed that up, I think, with the Houston game. And then not stealing one like Cincinnati where they really played pretty well, or maybe even here against Arizona where you steal one and you're up 19-10 with 18 minutes to go in the game. So now that's starting to look like, okay, 6 is they're not getting to 6. They're sure as heck not getting to 7. Can they get to 5? Like, could they get to 5 wins somehow? Can they start playing better football? And I know what you're saying. Listen, Brent, they've won once in 420 days, and they stink right now. They just got the doors blown off them by a not very good Seattle team. I get that, and you're right. But I watched a 2013 edition of the Jacksonville Jaguars go 0-8 by historic proportions and then won 4 out of 5, at one point in the second half of the season. So if I saw that team do it, I'll believe anything. I mean, I'm serious. That team, you have to really dial back the clock to see that team. But that team was really bad, and they won 4 out of 5. So you can do it in the NFL. And I just think every W now, it makes a bit of a difference. It makes the building feel a little bit better. I think if they could somehow get 4 wins out of these last 10, I mean, now you're looking at, in your last 10 games, going like 4-6. Like, that would be a major accomplishment to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They've got some winnable games in the last 4 games of the season with the Jets and Houston. The Falcons are mixed in here as well, and they're not great. The Colts, Jags seem to always beat the Colts at some point. So that's a possibility. Today doesn't seem like the day, but the bottom line is the wins matter. And they've got to try to find a way to get W's and pile them up so they don't go into the offseason 2-15, 3-14. I really thought that's what Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer would prevent. I didn't think that's the kind of year they would have. And so any time to get a W, and maybe this is one that really could get them breathing a little confidence if they were to somehow pull this off. It just looks so unlikely on paper. I was thinking about this, Casey. This is one of those games where, like, watch, the Jaguars will win. I'll have to get slammed through a table because I would lose that bet with Austin Lane. And that would probably be worth it, by the way. I'd sacrifice my body for the rest of Jacksonville for that. But, on top of that, I think you'd come out, like, later today and tomorrow, and the players would be like, nobody gave us a chance. See, blah-blah. Like, well, you haven't given us a reason to give you a chance, right? So let's get ahead of that right now. I mean, on paper, the way the Jags have played, the way this franchise has been the last couple of years, there is no reason to believe the Jacksonville Jaguars will win this football game today, again, against a very sound Buffalo team. And Buffalo is interesting to me because Buffalo is not sexy in a lot of different ways, really. But Buffalo is not a sexy football team. And what I mean by that is, I've used this example most of the week. If the Kansas City Chiefs roll in here the last couple of years, you're like, holy cow, man. We might have to score 40 to beat these guys. Like, we've got to do that. They're going to, even if we play good defense, they're going to score 37, right?
Yeah.
Defensively, if the Rams come in here or when the Jags go to the Rams, you're like, oh, man, it's going to be tough to get a field goal, 10 points, a touchdown. That's a good defense. Well, Buffalo, you don't feel that way coming in here, but when they leave in about 6 hours, they might have 40 on the board and hold you to 10. You know, that's what they do. That's why they're the number one scoring offense and defense in the NFL. But it doesn't jump out at you, Casey.
No, absolutely. But I think when you look at Buffalo, and you're right, there's no, besides like Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, there's no real jump out things that happen. But one thing you can say about the Bills is some teams play down to their competition. A lot of people have accused the Titans of that. I believe you've accused the Titans of that. But the Bills don't do that. 35-0 over the Dolphins. 43-21 over Washington, 40-0 over Houston. They beat Kansas City by 18. This is a team that does not let the teams that should not hang around with them, they don't let them. They just come in and stomp them, and it might not be pretty, but it works. So I think that's what's got to scare you about the Bills, that they've taken care of business when they've had to, and they've done it pretty soundly, which does not look good for the Jags today.
Yeah, I just we'll see, right? They didn't play great last week against Miami, yet they still end up pulling away and winning. To your point, that they can turn it on at any time. I don't think it's like an in danger team. They lost, didn't play well in the opener. The opener is always funny for teams. And then they lost on a Monday night where basically they lost by half a yard. It looked like Josh Allen and Bills were going to beat Tennessee in that wild game on Monday night. So it's a very good football team, and I think kind of business-like right now. Sean McDermott has turned himself into one heck of a coach. I was talking to somebody yesterday about this. He wasn't even that great of a coordinator. He was okay, but it wasn't like he was this. A lot of times now, guys that get head coaching jobs are like, wow, man, this guy can really call plays. Like a lot of people want Brian Daboll to be the next coach of Jacksonville or the next coach of your team, or that guy can really call plays. Well, the reason why they want him as the head coach is like, hey, I want that guy. That guy can really run an offense. Well, can he coach a football team? That's a different story. And we've seen that before. Like coordinators, some are just better at being coordinators. Gus Bradley's a very good defensive coordinator. Didn't have a good time being a head coach, right? And from a record standpoint. So that happens a lot in the NFL. Well, he is just the opposite. I'm not saying he's a bad coordinator, but he wasn't this like ballyhooed, oh my gosh, look at him, what he's doing coordinator with Carolina. And he's really turned himself quietly into a consistent, very good culture, very good team builder, along with being up there in Buffalo. And, man, this thing has just been cooking ever since they came to Jacksonville, lost that playoff game 10-3. It's been building toward this slowly, and now certainly one of the favorites in the AFC. And I think right now, you look at the AFC, Casey, this is like hands down the best team in the AFC. Everybody else has a ton of question marks. I'm not sure how many question marks the Bills have.
Not a lot of question marks, to your point. And yeah, I think you're right. Obviously, the Raiders, there's some questions there right now. The Ravens and the Titans, the Bills are the only team that I look at and I don't have an immediate concern or question about. And look, a lot of that might have been, like I just talked about, the schedule they've played has been easy, and they have lost to Tennessee and Pittsburgh, like you said in the opener. But yeah, this is a complete team, and on the coaching side, you have to look at what you talked about it earlier this week, the development of Josh Allen in Buffalo, and obviously the coach is a big part of that, so he gets credit for that. He's got him winning games with guys that aren't household names, so I think what they're doing in Buffalo is nothing short of incredible, and they're just quality. There's no other way to put it. This is a quality team that might be the best team in the AFC, and it's a yikes situation, and it's weird that we're saying that about Buffalo, but here we are.
You know what they remind me of a little bit is Baltimore, and not like this current edition of Baltimore, because there is that electricity nature of Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, if you look at the Baltimore Ravens over the years, now maybe I am a little off here, because if you go way back, right, Ray Lewis had this star power to him, and some of those guys, Ed Reed did too. But there was just kind of a bring your lunch pail nature about Baltimore, and especially when they had Flacco, it was like he wasn't this great personality.
Right.
But when he played good football, he played good football. And when that team played good football, they just took care of business, right? They didn't do it in this high-flying kind of way. And I think Buffalo kind of fits that. And in a sense, Buffalo fits their city because it's cold, it's blue-collar. It's tough sometimes up in Buffalo. That's a hard-nosed community and city, and I think their team kind of fits that mold a little bit, which is also pretty cool too. Buffalo should not. The Bills fans being here, Buffalo being good, I actually don't think should make Jags fans that maybe mad. I think you could look at it in a different way. It's like, hey, I think this is who the Jags should hope to be, and seen it happen. Buffalo was terrible for a long time. Everybody talks about the early 90s. We know how good they were. They lost 4 Super Bowls, but after that, man, holy cow, some lean years and some really bad years for a long, long time, much like the Jags have been. And then to go get the quarterback and then put the right pieces around. I think after all the quarterbacks they went through and mediocrity they went through and trying to get to 8-8 or 9-7 and trying to scratch into the playoffs, I think the Jags maybe look at Buffalo and can, at least from an exercise of, hey, this can really work once you get the QB that you like, because everything is easier once you get that guy. The Jags have made a lot of bad decisions, but they've made bad decisions in part because they were trying to get as good as possible because they didn't have the quarterback. The quarterback helps all those decisions look better, be better, and maybe more sound. And I think Buffalo has proven that. And then they went and made a big move to go get Stephon Diggs, a move that we didn't really, at that time, I was like, holy cow, they gave away a lot for Stephon Diggs, but it's turned out to be really good. Now, does it pay off in spades and win a Super Bowl? We'll see. Are they good enough to do it? Probably. So the Buffalo Bills, I think, are actually a story the Jags can look at because there's a lot of things that are relative. And one of them is they lost for a long, long time, a lot of lean years up there in Buffalo, New York. All right, let's take a break, man. We get it going here on ESPN690's Game Day live from the DUUUVAL House. We do this on home Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. It's alumni weekend in Jacksonville, by the way, so a lot of former players will be around, and you can go meet and greet them. We'll tell you where you can do that when you come on out to the stadium. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful football day here in Jacksonville. The game on CBS 47 at 1 o'clock. We'll take you up until 11. Countdown to kickoff inside the stadium on CBS 47 at 11:30. So it's a big football day in town, a big football day on ESPN 690, CBS 47 as well, with your Action Sports Jacks team. We'll be right back here from the DUUUVAL House. Come on out, say hello on a good Sunday morning here in November.
Mike Greenberg is Greeny.
Did anyone watch football last year and think, you know what, I think there's just too much taunting going on? These guys seem to be too excited when they make big plays, and every now and again, it seems to be in the face of their opponent. This does not have any impact on the competition of the game until you choose to make it so. And what I'm suggesting is don't choose that. Don't choose that.
Greeny with Mike Greenberg, weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and watch exclusively on ESPN+.
Now, the First Alert Forecast on ESPN 690.
Today is definitely the pick of the weekend, starting off cloudy, but we will have gradually clearing skies, becoming partly sunny by the afternoon with breezy winds. Temperatures much warmer than yesterday, back into the mid-60s. Mostly clear and chilly tonight, dropping down into the mid-40s, but milder by Monday into the upper 60s with mostly sunny skies. I'm meteorologist Alyssa Pedgick, and that's your Action News Jax First Alert Forecast.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, where now you can save up to 41% off during Beard's anniversary sale.
I love football and I love chicken wings. Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau. We are a lot alike, right? You love football and you love wings. Let's win the week with Extreme Wings Sports Grill. 4 locations in Jacksonville, Atlantic Boulevard, Ocean Way, 210 in St. Johns County, and a new location on Roosevelt Boulevard near NAS Jacks, serving up the freshest, never frozen, world-famous extreme hot wings to Jacksonville since 1999. We like football. We like wings. We love a good deal. To celebrate the grand opening of the Extreme Wings Roosevelt location, get 6 wings, french fries, and a drink for just $12.99 at the Roosevelt location. 6 wings, french fries, and a drink, just $12.99. Active military gets special discounts: jalapeno ranch, Caribbean jerk, spicy blue cheese, lemon pepper. So many flavors to choose from. And, of course, they can make them extreme if you want. Plenty of space at Extreme Wings Sports Grill locations. If you're looking for a place for the entire team, try Extreme Wings Sports Grill. I love it. You'll love it. 4 locations in Jacksonville, including Roosevelt Boulevard near NAS Jacks.
Nights of Lights dazzles with more than 3 million lights in the historic district of St. Augustine. Now imagine doubling those lights as they reflect off the water during your tour with Redboat Tours. Avoid downtown crowds by boarding at Beach's Restaurant Marina at 250 Volano Road. Then sit back and let Captain Tony and Miss Jennifer take you on a tour you'll never forget. Don't settle for imposters. Make no mistake, Redboat Tours is St. Augustine's only USA Today Reader's Choice Best Boat Tour 3 years running. Book your Nights of Lights tours now at redboattours.com.
The Florida Forum Speaker Series, brought to you by the Women's Board of Wolfson Children's Hospital, is underway. Don't miss Major General Charles F. Bolden Jr., a retired Marine officer, astronaut, and former NASA administrator, on November 17th, and four-time Super Bowl champion and broadcaster Terry Bradshaw on January 20th, 2022. The series takes place at the Times Union Center for the Performing Arts. Get your tickets today at thefloridaforum.com. The Florida Forum has contributed more than $9.2 million to Wolfson Children's Hospital of Jacksonville.
Basket Brigade, sponsored by Tito's Handmade Vodka, knows that any act of kindness makes a difference for many. Make your donation so that families in our community receive grocery gift cards to make their purchases. To donate, visit ESPN690.com. Thank you for donating to make a difference.
Well, that's what Trent and I are talking about is, some people try to build by free agency and, some people try to build by draft. Obviously, that's the best way to do it. Historically, the best teams are the ones that take care of their own and, spot some free agents. And that's, we weren't able to do that last year. So we've got to keep building in the draft and spotting some free agents.
Well, that is Urban Meyer talking about how he's going to build this team. And I think Buffalo really has done a really good job of that. Some draft picks, some homegrown guys, collecting other guys, players playing better than they did in other places when they got over to the Buffalo Bills. So maybe the Jags can do that. Have they built a little bit of a base with some of their free agent signings, Rayshon Jenkins, Shaq Griffin, maybe even Marvin Jones for a little bit, who's performing nicely. Jamal Agnew, is he a part of this thing for a while to come? So you take some of those free agents, maybe those guys are good players for you, and then you take your draft. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence, we'll have to see on ETN. You already have a nice running back in James Robinson. And then what you do with that offensive line. We think Josh Allen's a really good player. Miles Jack, they have to get more out of him this year. He's coming off a really nice year a year ago. And then some of these other draft picks the Jaguars just haven't got a lot out of yet. So we'll see, from Walker Little to Andre Sisco and the rest. So Brent Martineau here at the DUUUVAL House. We call it ESPN 690 Game Day Live from the DUUUVAL House. Brent Martineau along with Casey Kurtz back in the Action Sports Jax studios. Kind of a quiet morning so far here in Jacksonville. I would assume it'll be a little bit late arriving or at all arriving for the Jacksonville Jaguars fans, because why spend time in the chilly weather unless, you have to, and they don't have to. So probably a little bit later. Now the Bills fans will be a bit everywhere. They like to get after it earlier, and this is warm for them. Here in November. Although I don't even know the temperature. I was going to look this up, and I forgot to do it. What's the temperature in Buffalo today or this weekend? Because everybody I talked to back home, like up north, not Buffalo, but Rhode Island, I had some conversations with folks in Ohio yesterday, and it was warmer there than it was here, Casey Kurtz. I mean, it was freezing yesterday.
Yeah, it looks like, according to the handy-dandy app here, it's 48 and sunny in Buffalo, New York. So I don't know how the heck that happens, but colder, I guess, by my app because it says 52 in Jacksonville, but sunny in Buffalo, cloudy here. What a world.
Yeah, no kidding. Last time I went to Buffalo, Buffalo for the preseason, we've done that before. It's fantastic. It was really nice. A lot of things to do. Buffalo in November, December, not the same. Now, we didn't get the snow. When we went up there, we got some freezing rain. And at the time, I was doing the sideline stuff, I think for the radio, and I was also at the same time would be the boom operator. So maybe it wasn't the same job, but the boom mic for our mic'd up coverage. And so either way, I was on the sideline. So I was getting drenched in freezing cold rain, and I had jacket and I had a hat on. I had one of those kind of like Newsies hat on, the golf. Let's say Bryson DeChambeau type hat.
Oh, yeah.
And the Buffalo fans were getting all over me that day. They were calling me Sherlock Holmes and stuff. It was funny. I was getting heckled.
That's great. You should have been, by the way. But
I know. It was kind of funny. That's what I remember. from that. Bills, by the way, I made the comparison to the Jags. The Bills are ahead of the Jags, and obviously on the field. But they're also ahead of the Jags in a couple different things. And this will be interesting to watch. They're trying to get a new stadium in Buffalo. And that has been contentious at times. Like, they've already started the spin of moving to Austin, those rumors. And so there's a little bit of a battle going on in Buffalo. Now, I think the thought is they'll get it done, but they want a new stadium. They need a new stadium. They really do need a new stadium. I mean, that is not a good stadium. The Jags and Bills, I think, are the two oldest stadiums that haven't been renovated in a major way, the two only stadiums that probably haven't been renovated in a major way in the NFL. And so they are in that battle. So it'll be interesting to watch how that unfolds over the next couple of years. And then because the Jags, as you know, downtown, from the shipyards to the Performance Center to eventually the stadium talks have already quietly started, but will really heat up over the next handful of years or so. So the Bills are interesting on that front, too. Brent Martineau, Casey Kurtz, it's a Sunday morning. We call it ESPN690 Game Day Live. Jags home games. Come out here for a couple hours, then I'll run in and do some TV on CBS 47 at 11:30. All right, the big story for the Jags, James Robinson. Will he play? Won't he play? What does it mean if he doesn't play? And here's the deal. The latest is he didn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday. He practiced on a limited basis on Friday. I was told he was kind of moving around pretty good out there, actually, on Friday. I think there's a feeling by some that he could give it a go today, even though I would say most of the feeling all week was that he wasn't going to play, mostly because the Jags probably could play him, but is it smart in this game to play him and potentially lose him for a few more weeks if he doesn't heal all the way? And the heel is the big issue, actually.
Good one.
For
well
James
done.
Robinson. And so that's where the Jags are. I think, he could play Casey, but is it the smart move to play him in this game, which is already going to be a tough game, and then do you not have him for a few weeks if he dings it up a little bit more? Is he going to be 100%, all that stuff? They have an affinity for Carlos Hyde more than the fan base does, but they are confident in Carlos Hyde, Dare Ogunbowale, and also they signed Devine Zigbo this week, too, back to the Jags off the Saints practice squad. And then, so I'm kind of thinking all week that he's not going to play. Then I get a little bit of news out of there that I think that maybe they are leaning toward playing him. And then, late last night, early this morning, Adam Schefter reported that he's kind of likely not going to play, but they're going to give it a go in warm-ups. So I don't know what to think. I'm probably going to, when I see that from Schefter late last night, that's probably coming from the agent side of things, is my guess.
I would guess that as well.
Usually it is. It doesn't always come from that, but it could come from somebody in the Jags building. I'm going to still probably lean toward the Jags hold him out. I just don't see if when in doubt, don't go. All right? Treat it like a yellow light. When in doubt, don't go. Treat it like stealing bases. If you hesitate, don't go. All right? So I would do that with James Robinson. If you're hesitating, don't do it. This guy's so valuable to this team, and I honestly think, last year I said this a bunch when they were 1-15. It was the only reason I watched the games.
That's true.
The only reason. But it's the only reason to watch the games
that is
last
definitely
year.
True.
And so I think James Robinson is that fun to watch. I think he's that important to the team. He's their best offensive player. He might be their best player. He might be their most impactful player. But there's 9 games to go in the season. And with or without James Robinson today, you're likely losing this football game. And I know that's not what they're thinking inside the building, but I think they need to be smart here. If you hesitate, don't go. I probably, based on some of the information and the back and forth, I'm thinking he does not play today.
And I hope you're right. James Robinson, in my opinion, is the best player on this team, and he's my favorite player on the team. But, no, we're good. The whole yellow light thing that I don't know if you came up with that on the flyer. You've been saving that for a couple of days, but that was great, by the way. I would not play James Robinson, and mostly because you look at the schedule. We talked about it in the first segment we did there. There's winnable games on the schedule. You play the Colts twice. You'd have to think that you have a chance to at least win one of those. The 49ers have proven to not be that good. I don't believe in the Falcons. Obviously, the Rams and Titans are going to be tough. you got the Texans, you got the Jets, and you got the Patriots. So there are winnable games on the schedule, and a lot of them. So I think, yes, if you are Urban Meyer, you can't think you're going to lose this game, kind of like the head coach of South Carolina last night, who at the halftime said, I can't believe we're winning a game against the Florida Gators. So that's a whole different story. So obviously Urban Meyer can't think that way, but you have to be realistic. You have to look at the schedule in front of you and the team on the other sidelines. You hold James Robinson out and have him ready to go against Indy next week.
Yeah, I think so. That could be the case. We'll see what happens. Listen, I mean, if James goes, I think he's probably ready to go. It's a bruise, so it's not a structural thing, it doesn't look like, and that's good news for the Jacksonville Jaguars and for him. But, again, we should have James on tomorrow, Jags Report Live, 7 o'clock from Sneakers. Didn't go last week because of getting some treatment and the soreness coming off the injury from Seattle, but he should rejoin us whether he plays or not tomorrow. Jags Report Live, 7 o'clock on Fox 30, but come on out to Sneakers in Jax Beach and say hello to us and say hello to James Robinson. Win or lose, play or don't play here today on a Sunday in Jacksonville. All right, I got another one for you now, and this is we could do keys to the win, all this stuff if we want. We won't do keys to victory because it's not sponsored by like a car company or something like that or anything else. So if it was, we would.
For sure.
But
opportunities available. Hit Brent's DMs.
I'm holding out for everybody who wants to listen to keys to the game until we get that sponsor.
And
okay.
You better believe
it. But I will say this. Here is in my opinion, the only way the Jags win this game today is if they do something they have not done since October 27th of 2019, a stretch of 31 games. And that is force more than 2 turnovers. They have had 2 turnovers in some games. And by the way, when you force 2 turnovers, that doesn't mean you win the turnover battle. Sometimes you're turning it over twice. Sometimes turn over once, so you win it by 1. But if you force 3 turnovers in a game, I would say 9 out of 10 times you're winning the turnover battle, and you might be winning by like 2. And that's what the Jaguars need to do. They need to force 3 or more. They have not done that in a 31-game stretch, just including the regular season. I wouldn't even go into the preseason stuff, which you shouldn't, but I could add those in to make it longer. 31 games. And so how hard will this be for the Jacksonville Jaguars to do this today? Well, it hasn't happened in 2 years.
Yeah.
And the Jaguars have 2 turnovers on the season through 7 games.
Yeah.
So that means they would have to force more turnovers on one Sunday afternoon than they've forced in 28 quarters of football this year. It's very unlikely, but I also think when you're 14.5-point underdogs, that's the kind of stuff that you have to do. You have to do something you haven't done in a while. And so the Jaguars, I believe that's their only way to victory today is to have one of those kind of games where they do finally come in bunches, because I don't believe they come in bunches. I hear that way too much over my decade and plus of covering the Jags, and they haven't outside of 2017. But bad teams don't create turnovers. That's it, because the turnover margin is the difference in the NFL. There's a few outliers, but it's usually the difference in the NFL. It's definitely the difference if you're not as talented as the other team. So that's it, Casey. I mean, it's as simple as that. Sure, Trevor Lawrence needs to play well. They're going to need to run the football. They're going to need to make stops in the red zone. You can do all those things. Those are your keys to the game. The only way they win this football game, in my opinion, is one, if they get turnovers. But really, if they get multiple turnovers, and that's more than a couple. I mean like a few, 3 or more turnovers here this afternoon is, in my opinion, the only way the Jacksonville Jaguars are winning this football game today and pulling the upset.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. To add to that, by the way, Josh Allen has only thrown 3 interceptions this year, so obviously, of course, there could be some fumbles involved, but asking Josh Allen to throw 3 interceptions is not going to be an easy task, especially like you said, when the team as a whole only has 2 turnovers. Yeah, I agree with you. I think you get the ball from the other team 3 times, and yeah, you should be in a good spot to win. However, I would say if the Jags even get 2 turnovers, maybe consider playing the lottery, because that's how bad it's been in the turnover department for the Jags this year. Obviously, early in his career, Josh Allen was prone to turning the football over. That has changed. He did throw 10 interceptions last year. However, he threw 37 touchdowns, but I'll leave that part out. But the point of the story is it can be done. The question is who's going to do it. Shaq Griffin would obviously be a guy you want to look at who should be locked up with Stephon Diggs today. I don't know how that will translate, but yeah, something's got to give. I don't know who it's going to be, but give me a forced fumble. Josh Allen on Josh Allen crime. It just came to me, Brent. Josh Allen on Josh Allen crime. Forced fumble.
That'd be good. Listen, the Jags have not really even had the ball on the ground very much. Thankfully, offensively, they really haven't put it on the ground too much. But defensively, I just haven't seen the ball on the ground a lot. I think a couple of times they had chances with sacks on the quarterback, but I don't remember a ball being popped out of a running back's hands yet this year. Maybe not even a receiver's hands. I don't remember. So they've just got to they've got to give themselves some opportunities in some short fields. And I think turnovers are, everybody's going to say it's like a cliche in the NFL. Turnovers are key. Well, they're more key today when you're a 2-touchdown underdog. And the Jags have to start figuring out a way to do this. We had this long discussion this week, and I've asked a couple of other people since our discussion, just that are in the football world. We had this with Austin on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN690, and I said, why do you get turnovers? Because everybody preaches turnovers, all right? We can ask about them. And it's like the age-old question. You're not get turned the ball over. You ask the coach in the media session, hey, we practice it. We preach it. We do these drills. We have the jugs machine. We have the poke the ball out drill. We have the this drill. We have the that drill. Everybody does it because everybody knows the importance of turnovers. Everybody sees the stats. So it's not like they're not trying to coach it. It's not like the players are not focused on it. So take that out of the equation, and I really believe it comes down to 4 buckets of potential of why you either get turnovers or why you don't. 1, I think, is talent.
Yeah.
2, I think, is actual luck. I think you have to be a little bit lucky from time to time.
Yeah.
3, I think, is instinct and IQ.
Right.
What I say there is, guys like, if you think of some of the turnover machines over the years, you think of guys like Tyrann Mathieu. Mm-hmm. You think what Minkah Fitzpatrick did that one year. Yep. Those guys just have a nose for the ball. They don't strike you with their athleticism. They're good athletes, but they're not like, holy cow, it's the fastest guy on the planet, right?
Yep.
Or this guy can jump out of, you jump over everybody. It's not that guy. This isn't DK Metcalf. Mm-hmm. But they get turnovers, and I think that's instinct and IQ, and it makes you faster. And then that's my 4th bucket is speed. And speed, I think, really creates a lot of things. Speed creates pass rush. Speed creates surprise for a ball carrier or a receiver that, holy cow, somebody's on top of me already and knocking the ball loose, and I didn't have a chance to wrap it up. So I think those are the 4 buckets. Speed, IQ, instinct is one. Speed is one. IQ, instinct is another. Luck is another. And then there's talent. Now, what most people will tell you, that the reason the Jags are not getting enough turnovers is the bucket of talent.
Yep.
You can't do anything about the luck bucket. You can do stuff about the IQ instinct bucket. And I don't know how you measure that, but I said last week about this football team, I think they lack some of that. IQ and instinct goes along with communication and other things, and I think they lack it. I really do. I think this defense does not have enough of it. Doesn't mean you're dumb. It doesn't mean everybody's dumb. It doesn't mean everybody doesn't. I think Josh Allen has it. But one guy out of 11 can't have it to get turnovers on a defense. And then I think speed-wise, the Jags have some of it, but that's an overall problem on this team, and Urban Meyer has said it, offensively and defensively, is speed. So I think those are the reasons. Most people would put the talent bucket. You take that 2017 Jags team that had all those turnovers, had touchdowns scored. They looked like they were going to outscore their own offense half the time. That was a talented football team, and therefore they also had speed. They also got a little lucky, mm-hmm. And they did. The underrated part of that team, as much bravado as they had, as much swag as they had, is that they were a smart team. They had IQ in the secondary. Those guys were smart. They knew what to do. They've been around the game a while. The instinct of those guys was just as good as their talent in many respects. And so they had this combination of all of them. And, Casey, I just think at the end of the day, we're looking at a team that over the last couple of years has not had a lot of turnovers. And the reason why? There's not enough talent.
Absolutely, and I think when you look back at 2017, you had arguably the best corner in the league, and what you did was you surrounded him with veterans who were also talented, A.J. Boye, Barry Church, and obviously Sean Gibson. So that was the talent part. When you look at the luck part for this team right now, you see this kind of stuff in college football where the quarterback will just throw it to the other team kind of for no reason. Somebody ran the wrong route or something. That kind of stuff doesn't really happen in the NFL with good teams. It obviously happened last week with Trevor Lawrence and Tavon Austin. We don't know whose fault that was. We have some ideas, but that was a luck thing. Seattle got that turnover because of luck.
Yeah, they didn't do anything, right?
Yeah, they were just standing where they needed to be standing, and that's how that happened. That doesn't happen if you're a good team. And that's the problem with the Jags. They play good teams, and they don't get lucky. You don't see guys like Josh Allen just casually throwing it to a linebacker for no good reason. So, yeah, they're going to need to get lucky. They're going to need to, I guess, find some talent on the way out of the locker room. They do have some talented players, but like you said, not enough. And we'll have to see. But I think if you have, like you mentioned, Josh Allen, Shaq Griffin, I think, is a guy that is talented, and he's had obviously a couple opportunities to have some interceptions that he hasn't come down with. He comes down with a couple of those, maybe things change, but especially today when you're going to be opposite a guy like Stephon Diggs, you got to make big plays, and that'll probably set the tone for what Josh Allen can do in this game. If Shaq Griffin can lock down Stephon Diggs early, he might have to start looking at Tyson Campbell, which granted he might be doing anyway with Emmanuel Sanders on him and Cole Beasley in the slot, obviously, but yeah, the talent bucket is a little dry, Brent, on this rainy day. It's a little dry.
Yeah. By the way, Shaq Griffin, I think quietly is having himself a nice year. I know I'm saying that as he gave up 2 touchdowns last week. But, I think you got to know, Shaq Griffin, they did not, Jalen Ramsey gives up 2 touchdowns. Then you're like, what the heck, right? Well, Jalen Ramsey's getting a $100 million deal. That's what they signed him to. Xavier Howard, they got whatever, $80 million to. Like, those guys, they didn't give Shaq Griffin that kind of deal. Like, Shaq Griffin, I think, is earning his money. I think Shaq Griffin's been good. I know he gave up 2, and by the way, 1 was highly contested. It was a really good play, and that's just competition sometimes. So, Shaq Griffin is 2 of those interceptions that he dropped away from having himself a really nice year so far on a football team that's not that good, and that's hard to do. So, I like what Shaq's done. And hopefully he can make a play or 2 to validate how good he's been playing overall for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They need some help elsewhere, though, and especially from the youngster Tyson Campbell and the rest of that secondary. All right, let's take a break. Haven't even really talked about Trevor Lawrence. What about Trevor Lawrence? What about some of the stuff going around the NFL right now? It's been a busy, dramatic week, but also one the Jags, do they have their eye on? Odell Beckham Jr., what is he saying now as he exits Cleveland? And tomorrow is a big day on the waiver wire for Odell Beckham Jr. and maybe the Jags. Deshaun Jackson, where's he going to end up? Should the Jags take a look at some of these players, plus some Trevor Lawrence talk around the NFL we go. We're here until 11 o'clock from the DUUUVAL House, ESPN690 Game Day live from the DUUUVAL House, Sunday home games, and we're back at it, 9 until 11 on ESPN690. Today's charity recipient, Tom Coughlin J Fund. They're out here as well. So come on out, say hello as you walk by the DUUUVAL House and enter the stadium on a Sunday morning here in November in Jacksonville. Bills and Jags. They'll play at 1 o'clock on CBS 47.
Quitting tobacco isn't easy. The good news is, Tobacco-Free Florida is here to help you quit your way by offering the free support and tools you'll need to succeed. Our AHEC cessation program offers Group Quit, virtual classes you can take from the comfort of your own home across every county in Florida. All you need is a phone, tablet, or computer. You may also be eligible to receive up to $400 worth of free quit aids, such as nicotine patches, lozenges, or gum. You aren't alone, and our Group Quit sessions can offer the support you've needed all along. It doesn't matter how many times you've tried to quit. Now is your time to succeed, because now is the time to quit your way. So give us a call at 1-877-YOU-CAN-NOW to double your chances of success. Ask about free nicotine replacement options to help you quit today. This is your start to a tobacco-free life. No judgments, just help.
There's There's no way that's used. Get ready, because you're going to hear that a lot after you buy an amazing, like-new, pre-owned from our friends over at Arlington Toyota. Arlington's got 300 used available. All makes, all models. Plus, you'll buy with total confidence thanks to Arlington's 30-day exchange program that comes with your purchase. That's 30 days to love your purchase or exchange it. Shop in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com today.
Looking for a great career that can take you places? The Jacksonville Transportation Authority offers miles of opportunity, and the JTA is now hiring bus operators. We offer competitive pay and benefits with a starting wage of $16.43 per hour. We're offering hiring bonuses from $10,000 to $15,000. CDL training is available, and JTA will pay for relocation to Florida. And the Sunshine State has no income tax, so your paycheck goes further. Stop looking for a job. Get yourself a new career with the JTA.
Nights of Lights dazzles with more than 3 million lights in the historic district of St. Augustine. Now imagine doubling those lights as they reflect off the water during your tour with Redboat Tours. Avoid downtown crowds by boarding at Beach's Restaurant Marina at 250 Volano Road. Then sit back and let Captain Tony and Miss Jennifer take you on a tour you'll never forget. Don't settle for imposters. Make no mistake, Redboat Tours is St. Augustine's only USA Today Reader's Choice Best Boat Tour 3 years running. Book your Nights of Lights tours now at redboattours.com.
Hey everybody, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. There's a good chance you have a smart speaker, so use it with ESPN690. Stay up to date on the Jags and all things sports by telling Alexa or Google to play ESPN690. It's as easy as that. Make sure you listen weekdays 3 until 6 p.m. on ESPN690.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of stuff we gotta go back and watch the game and really just be honest with ourselves and make some corrections and just move forward. I know I didn't play good enough today, and as an offense we just weren't clicking. So a lot of things go into that. I think it's really just taking accountability for everyone's part and what went wrong. And, you know, for me, third and fourth down, I think I had 2 missed throws on third down and 1 on fourth down. So it's, you know, guys that are open and not giving them a catchable ball. I think that's, you know, all on me. So those are 3 right there.
That is Trevor Lawrence, of course, Jaguars rookie quarterback, now playing his 8th career game in the NFL today against the Buffalo Bills. Brent Martineau, along with Casey Kurtz. We call it ESPN 690 Game Day Live from the DUUUVAL House. Phillips and Hunt, Folio Weekly 2.0, of course. And also charity of choice today is J-Fund, the Tom Coughlin J-Fund. So good to see those folks out here as well. And J-Fund does so many great things, and you know it well, hopefully, from over the years. And their relationship with everybody in town and helping families battling childhood cancer. Brent Martineau, Casey Kurtz, ESPN 690. Take you until 11 o'clock. Then we're off to – this guy's got donuts behind me. Wow.
Whoa.
Maybe steal one of those.
Yeah, he just stopped, it looked like.
I know. I thought he was about to offer me one.
Sir.
Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Actually, I don't want a donut.
Stop lying to yourself.
Well, I mean, I do.
You
but
want
I
a free donut.
A donut to start a Sunday, which probably I'm not going to eat that good anyway, isn't the way to go. But anyway, we'll take it until 11 o'clock, and then 11:30 I'll run inside, do a little countdown to kickoff on CBS 47, 1 o'clock game on CBS 47. What do we have for football today, Casey? We got Sunday night game, of course, but
we just got Sunday night tonight.
Okay. What is that game?
That is a fantastic question you asked, Brent, and that would obviously be the Tennessee Titans AFC South foe heading to L.A. to take on the new-look Rams defense with Von Miller.
Ah, very good. That's a good Sunday night game on ESPN 690, and Westwood One coverage will be tonight, so you can hear that. We'll have the Monday game as well tomorrow night. So, all right, here's the story, man. Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is going to be fantastic. Trevor Lawrence has been overall, I would say, pretty good.
Quality.
Yeah, he's been not great. He doesn't have people around the NFL raving about his performances. He's not winning football games, so that doesn't help, like Mac Jones is in New England. But he also is not Zach Wilson, Justin Fields kind of, whoa, what's going on, right, at times. And so, and even Justin Fields, I think, by the way, for both those quarterbacks, I haven't given up on them. I'm just saying they're surrounded so poorly that they've looked really bad at times.
It's tough when you got Mike White breathing down your neck if you're Zach Wilson.
That's tough if you're the Jets. Might not even get that job back.
I don't think so.
But Trevor Lawrence, to me, he's coming off here's the thing. He had a 3-interception game against Houston. That wasn't good. He had thrown it 51 times. Trevor Lawrence had to game 2 against Denver. It was 14-33. Didn't look that good. And the craziest thing is I believe that last week was his worst game. Like, I actually think last week was his worst game as Jags quarterback. Now, a lot of the team didn't play well. It was the worst game for all of them. Maybe Houston, you could say. Statistically, it wasn't his worst game. But I just think he looked out of sync. He looked out of rhythm. He had trouble lining the guys up, which he has not had trouble doing all year. I just thought that was a game where Trevor Lawrence kind of looked like a rookie and things weren't going well around him to begin with. So I also heard that he didn't have, like, the best a week of practice coming out of the bye week, and then he didn't play so well. So something to keep an eye on, and sometimes that happens. But I think this is a critical game for the Trevor Lawrence narrative. And if Trevor Lawrence can play well against the Buffalo Bills, I think he could have the league talking about him a little bit on a Sunday afternoon and into tomorrow, Casey.
No, I think you're right. And, yeah, last week it did not pass the optics test. Now, granted, nothing really did last week at all. But, yeah, Trevor Lawrence did look a bit out of sync. I'm guessing the crowd noise had a bit to do with that. Doesn't matter what they said after the game. It was loud in there, and that defense, it's not great, but it's okay. So, yeah, he looked a bit out of sync. But if I'm Trevor Lawrence today, I know he's got a lot on his mind when he's, like, reading the defense. But the first thing I'm looking for is where is Trey White, and the ball is not going over there. Because
he's pretty good.
The last thing you need if you're Trevor Lawrence is not that it might not even be fault of his own. Trey White is just a great player. He might make a great play on a football, but the last thing you need if you're Trevor Lawrence is to try to force balls on that side of the field. And next thing you know, instead of the Jags trying to get 3 turnovers, it's Trey White himself having 3 turnovers, and that's something you have to avoid if you're Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I think, like, if you take the long view at this, listen, Josh Allen had a struggle in his rookie year. He threw a 52% completion rate. And he really wasn't good. I mean, Jay Lorenzo was saying trash, and other people were like, I don't think this is going to work. He's taken such a big step. So if you look at the Josh Allen growth chart, already Trevor starts at a better baseline. And so if he can now go up from here, that's great. But if you take the long view of the season in play, he got off to such a sluggish start on the turnovers, Trevor did, that – like, if you project the numbers, he's going to throw 18 to 20 interceptions. Yeah. I think that's a lot. Now, listen, you go back to Andrew Luck. They actually played well and won games, and he threw like 23 touchdowns and 18 picks in his rookie season. So we can talk about that if we need to, and we can reference that if we need to at the end of the year. But you'd rather not. Not in today's day and age in the NFL. I think, like, the numbers kind of matter, even though the eye test tells more of the story. But the numbers build some of the narrative. And so I'm really hoping Trevor Lawrence, one, doesn't stack up poor performances. I thought last week was his most out of sync and probably his poorest game of the year, even though it wasn't statistically. If he struggles against a number 1 defense, which a lot of young quarterbacks probably would struggle against a number 1 defense, and especially if they don't have James Robinson, he's got excuses, but now you pile back-to-back bad performances up. And I don't like the optics of that either here in Jacksonville. I mean, the one nice thing we have is that even if the Jags aren't going to win, we got Trevor Lawrence to talk about. So I think this game could be really big in him playing better, him playing well against a good team, him helping lift this team and maybe taking the next step in his progression. Say, all right, guys, I'm going to put more on my shoulders. Not meaning I have to throw it 54 times, but I'm going to come up big. Like, I remember that game, I think, against Tennessee where he drove down the field. It's my favorite drive of the year because 3rd and 2, boom, beautiful 25-yard throw to Marvin Jones. He saw pressure off the edge later on, got a ball to Tavon Austin after spinning out of pressure, and Tavon Austin got it inside the 5. And then on 4th and inches, he threw a beautiful ball on not an easy play to Jacob Hollister. Like, I remember that drive because I was like, that is the franchise quarterback. That's a play Trevor Lawrence. He made everybody better on that drive, even though I thought some of the calls put him in tough spots.
Yeah.
And so I need a little bit – I don't need it, but I would like to see a little bit more of that. And also I would like to see, as the season goes along, some big games for Trevor so he can offset some of the skewed numbers of maybe the first couple of games. And it would be nice to have like a 4-touchdown, no interception day, whether that's 320 yards or 280 yards. It'd be nice to have a 20 for 24 kind of day to get the percentage up. And I think those numbers do kind of matter at the end of the year when we look at it all. And we say, well, Mac Jones did this and Trevor Lawrence did this, and this is how we feel going forward. I think everybody feels good about Trevor Lawrence down the road being a really good quarterback. But it wouldn't suck to feel pretty good the last 10 games and into the offseason if he can get up to like 64% completion rate, throw for right around 4,000 yards, and the touchdowns start to take over the interceptions. So you go 21, 22 touchdowns, and maybe you have 12 or 13 interceptions, something like that. That's kind of what I'm looking for from a big picture point of view, Casey. And I think those things do matter. It doesn't define his career either way. But I do think it kind of matters around here, building some momentum in the offseason and going forward.
No, I agree with you. And I think, to your point, he obviously threw 7 interceptions in the first 3 games and then 2 in the last 4. So obviously things have changed for Trevor Lawrence and he's making better decisions. But yeah, I think if you're Trevor Lawrence, like I've mentioned, I think there are winnable games coming up. The Indy defense is good. They don't scare me. San Francisco's defense doesn't scare me like I thought it was going to. And then when you get down to teams like the Jets and the Falcons, I mean, come on, there's your 400-yard day against the Falcons. I can see it clear as day right now. I think if you're Trevor Lawrence, you just need to get through this game and do it healthy and just not forcing things, because it's probably going to be easy to try and force things when you're a 14-point dog already at home. So you're probably going to be feeling that if you're Trevor Lawrence. I think you just need to stay calm, stay composed, make the right reads. And if anything, I hate to say it, but make the right read. And if somebody drops it, somebody drops it. But you made the right read. You didn't force the ball into coverage. And if it's a drop, it's a drop. And if it works out, obviously that is the main goal.
Well, the offense, they've got to help him out. The offensive line was not good last week. Somehow he only had 1 sack, but the offensive line was not good. And he got hit. He could hardly get to his back foot to throw the ball downfield.
Right.
So they have to be better. They need to roll them out. If the offensive line's not going to do this job, and by the way, the offensive line's been pretty good, but they were not good last week. And roll them out if you got to do that. Give them some space. Give them some time. Create that for Trevor Lawrence. Get him comfortable. Get him in rhythm. And then Laviska Shenault has to have better days. I mean, he can't be dropping footballs. They have to play better around Trevor Lawrence. I mean, they could make him look so much better. That's one thing about the Patriots. Overall, I know they had some fumble issues there, but defensively, offensively, coaching-wise, they've made Mac Jones look better.
Yeah.
You got to make Trevor look better. He can't do it all himself. And right now, there's not a lot of other stuff going on making Trevor look better.
Now, what the Patriots, though, I mean, wide receivers apart, they went, and now granted, they didn't know they were going to have Mac Jones yet at this time, but they went and got him tight ends. Who knows?
Tight ends.
I don't know if that would have helped Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, Dan Arnold has helped Trevor Lawrence, I would say. So maybe that was something you should have done. Obviously, you had an opportunity to at least throw some money at those guys that the Patriots got, but I think the tight ends have helped Mac Jones a lot, especially being quality veterans to go to that organization.
Well, that's a good point. Veterans is a big word. Hunter Henry's caught a touchdown, I think, in 4 straight games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And also, they run that kind of personnel with the 2 tight end sets a lot. So, yeah, they did a lot building around whoever was going to be their quarterback. It worked out to be Mac Jones. All right, we'll be back. We're live from the DUUUVAL House. ESPN 690 rolls on another hour, taking until 11 o'clock. What about Odell Beckham Jr. to Jacksonville? What's the latest on ESPN 690 next?
What's up? It's Casey. Check out the podcast Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690, wherever you get your podcast, to make sure you don't miss moments like this.
Word is you have a new nickname around this place.
Sure do, Brent. Because you know
Or do
how
you like it? Nicknames are good sometimes.
Yeah. Well, so you know, like how when it's your birthday coming up, which it's my birthday month or whatever, like they kind of give you a little heads up. And I appreciate all the work that they do and everything. But when they say November birthdays and it's Austin Lane and this must be Thanksgiving themed, AKA free range hot buns. you guys like that? Is that good for you?
Camrys, Corollas, RAV4s, Tundras, and more. When you're ready to buy a new Toyota, you've got to get to Arlington Toyota. At Arlington Toyota, they've got 300 new Toyotas available, plus interest rates as low as 0% on over 10 new Toyota models. 0%. Plus, you get 30 days to love your purchase or exchange it. And every new car purchase gets a lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles. Shop arlingtontoyota.com today. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/November for full details.
Life is already full of surprises, but your tuition shouldn't be one of them. While education costs rise in the U.S. every year, University of Phoenix is committed to protecting you from rising tuition costs with our tuition guarantee. We lock in your tuition.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN690, a Cox Media Group station.
This is SportsCenter.
Hello there. I'm Mark Robbins. College football on Saturday had two unbeatens taste defeat for the first time. Number 3 Michigan State beaten by Purdue 40-29, and North Carolina left a real bad taste in the mouth of number 9 Wake Forest 58-55. Afterward, Tar Heels quarterback Sam Howell talking about his club's resilience.
Yeah, I mean, it says so much about this team. Everything we've been through this year, we just keep fighting. We still have really good guys on this team who love football, and we give it everything we got, and just happy to go out here and get a win today.
That's North Carolina quarterback Sam Howell talking with our Molly McGrath. In the NBA Saturday, the Sixers pick up a 6th straight victory, beating the Bulls behind 30 points and 15 boards from Joel Embiid. Also winning Saturday night, Dallas, Portland, Denver, and Miami. In the NFL, Arizona's Kyler Murray, a game-time decision with an ankle injury. As of practice this week, Colt McCoy would start if Murray doesn't. ESPN's Adam Schefter says Ravens wide receiver Rashad Bateman expected to play today despite being listed as questionable with a groin injury. And coming up here on ESPN Radio, an NFL doubleheader. Minnesota at Baltimore with our coverage beginning at noon, anchored by Kevin Winter. That'll be followed by the Chargers and Eagles at 4 p.m. Eastern again on ESPN Radio and the app. In the NHL on Saturday, the Blackhawks fired head coach Jeremy Colleton. Team is 1-9-2 to start the year. Derek King is the interim head coach. He'll lead the Blackhawks on the ice against Nashville later on today.
Coming up Monday, we'll look ahead to Monday Night Football as Justin Fields and the Bears try to get back on track while Mike Tomlin has the Steelers on another midseason run. That's Monday morning on Keyshawn, J. Will and Max on ESPN Radio.
This is ESPN 690 Game Day Live.
Sponsored by the DUUUVAL House.
Here's your host live from the DUUUVAL House, Brent Martineau.
Man, we have a lot of fun talking about the Jags, believe it or not, even though they stink again. A lot of Buffalo fans walking by. Hopefully they go home disappointed.
Seen any tables yet?
No, just the one I'm on, just the one I have. I'm surprised somebody didn't try to steal it.
That's a good point. You better be careful.
These Buffalo fans now are crazy, like crazy. There are some nice people, but then there are some crazy people. Like, I think the nice people even know they have crazy people on their rooting side.
Yeah?
Like, yeah.
Can't lie to yourself. You know what I mean? You got to just know what it is.
This lady's wearing a shirt that says Josh Bleepin' Allen.
I like that.
When she leaves here today, she's going to be saying Josh Bleepin' Allen, but it's going to be the other guy, 41.
I hope you're right, but that's a nice shirt.
That lady has more swear words on her shirt than even it has some more on the back. I'm trying to read it.
Where do you buy a shirt like that? There's no way they sell that in the team shop, right?
If you don't bleed red and blue, take your bleepity bleep home.
Wow. Wow.
That's welcome to Jacksonville.
I guess so. Good night.
That's what you got coming for Jacksonville. Man. It's a different breed. I mean, it is a different breed of fan.
By the way, I'm just looking in the background of your shot. A lot of Josh Allen jerseys. Is that the consensus, or do they own other jerseys? Is there anybody else?
Yeah, now they sold their Tyrod Taylor jerseys.
Well, yeah.
Let's see. Who else do we have? Who's 21? Oh, McGahee. My gosh, going way back in the day.
Goodness.
No T.J. Yeldon jerseys.
Okay.
They do have a lot of Josh Allen jerseys.
Yeah, I just kind of
17 in blue, white, red. We'll give you a 41, Josh Allen, when you leave here today.
There you go. Let him know.
They're like, who?
For the people listening on radio, Brent is heckling the Bills fans as they walk by his shot.
Yeah.
And it's glorious, by the way.
You can watch us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch just in case I get thrown through a table here soon.
It could be coming. He set one up by him. Probably the mistake.
All right, I do like the jersey stuff. Like, I'm not a jersey guy, but I kind of like looking at all the jersey stuff.
Same.
Like when we were at Florida, Georgia last week, we did like who's carrying a case of beer and what kind.
Yep.
And who did not have a Florida, Georgia jersey on.
Yeah, I remember that.
But now we got more Josh Allens. We got 23. Who's 23? Marshawn Lynch. That's back in the day.
Goodness.
Thurman Thomas, speaking back in the day. The kids had to Google Thurman Thomas.
I'm Googling it currently. I don't even know what's going on.
We got more Josh Allens.
Sure we do.
So
Stephon Diggs is on the team, people.
Yeah, I haven't seen one Stephon Diggs jersey.
That's weird because they love him. I thought. I mean,
well, they should like him.
They should love him, but yeah.
I'm going to ask this question right now. If you could get a Bills jersey and you can't take Josh Allen,
yep,
who would you take?
Yeah, I mean, Diggs has to be the answer, right? Me personally, if I was in the market for a Bills jersey, which I'm not unless I get it for free, Dawson Knox. I know that's going to come.
Dawson Knox, yeah.
It's going to be surprising.
He's
but
out of this game with a broken hand or something.
Something along the lines. But he is definitely out of this game. Dawson Knox, by the way, first touchdown scorer in the AFC Championship. If you're listening and you know why I'm saying that, you know why. You get it. You understand. First touchdown
was he
scorer.
Plus what?
A whole lot, Brent. A whole lot. And I've never been happier standing in the Action News Jax newsroom when I saw him go in the end zone.
Wow. You should have put more than $5 on it.
I did put more than $5 on it. I do appreciate that. But, yeah, Dawson Knox or my guy Greg Rousseau, as I mentioned.
Yeah, Rousseau's been nice for them. Like, that's another nice pick, right?
Yeah.
Out of Miami.
Yep.
And, again, not like Rookie of the Year kind of good. But
well, maybe.
I doubt it. I mean, there's other contenders. Could he be that good? Like, what's his sack total up to?
I believe it's only 3 or 4, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not going to. I haven't seen him listen to any of the conversations. By the way, it's tough too for a defensive guy anyway. But
also has an interception, by the way.
Yeah, defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you could do that. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I was thinking just rookie of the year.
Yeah, 3 sacks, an interception for a DN. By the way, keep that in mind.
But
more than the Jags cornerbacks, but no big deal.
That's true. Who else would be in the defense? I was thinking just overall rookies, but who else would be in the defensive rookie of the year category?
So you have Surtain, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Micah Parsons would be in there as well.
He's been good, too.
And somebody I'm surely forgetting, but
yeah, those two guys actually, I feel like, are getting a heck of a lot more attention. So, but a long way to go in the season. You know what's crazy about this season? It's just not even halfway done.
I know.
We're talking about hockey and basketball starting up and all this other, and it just feels like those sports are starting. Well, hockey starts normal time, but like college basketball is starting earlier than it's ever started the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It never started this early. It was always like the Thanksgiving time. And so that means like you kind of feel in your mental clock like the football season is further along than it is. Add to it that there's 17 games now in the NFL, and it doesn't end until almost mid-January.
Yep.
There's a lot of football still to be played. That could be a good or bad thing. For some. All right, let's go around the NFL as we're talking about all these 17 jerseys. Now, there's the right Josh Allen jersey right there, 41. See?
There we go.
That's a good one. 12, Jim Kelly. There you go.
That's a good one.
Jim Kelly. That's a good one. I thought I'd see more Jim Kellys around here.
Yeah, it's a good call.
But those old Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, I mean, they had some guys now that you could certainly have from the older years. All right, let's go around the NFL. Take us there, Casey. What kind of day is it in the NFL after a college football day where we saw 8 of the top 25 go down? So maybe we could see some of the favorites in the NFL go down on this crazy, wacky, wild weekend in November.
Yeah, anything can happen, as we saw. And, hey, even South Carolina can hang 40 on the Florida Gators. So, yeah, anything can happen. But
don't get the flu.
Oh my goodness! We'll talk about that some other time, Monday maybe, if we can fit it in. But the point of the story is, if you look at the games this week, besides maybe the Bills, actually I shouldn't even say maybe. Besides the Bills, if you're still alive in your survivor pool, I am not, thanks to the Bengals and Mike White. But there's not a lot of slam dunks here. The Raiders, you would like that situation going to the Giants, but it's always tough to go across the country. Patriots-Panthers is a good defensive game. The Cowboys is one you might look at, but they, Denver can play defense. You never know what's going to happen in that one. So there's not a lot of games you can point to and like in Survivor. And honestly, Brent, I'm going to tell you, you were telling me some of the games you picked earlier before we started the show. Tyrod Taylor coming back for the Texans. He gives them something they didn't have with Davis Mills. Dolphins not very good. I'm not sold that the Dolphins win that game.
Yeah, but Houston is not in a good way right now. And Tyrod Taylor is not a saving grace. I mean, Davis Mills had actually played some good football. Like, he wasn't terrible.
Agreed.
I mean, he had some bad football, too. But I don't know. I just don't feel that kind of way about Houston with Tyrod Taylor coming back. Could be wrong. I get what you're saying. I'm a little nervous about that, too, because I think I got the Dolphins in a thing going, like, winning by a touchdown. But don't you feel like this is, like, such a desperate game for the Dolphins? They have the trade deadline, as they don't have to worry about the Tua stuff. He's the quarterback. They can rally around him. He can maybe settle in. He hasn't played, actually, that poorly overall. They need to play better around him. But this could be one of those days where the defense eats for the Miami Dolphins because they should be way better than the way they've performed. I think this is a huge game for the Dolphins. And remember now, they don't care about those draft picks because they traded them all away,
Yeah.
So this is a huge game, I think, for the Dolphins. I think they're going to make it look pretty ugly against Houston.
I mean, I don't disagree that it's a big game for the Dolphins. I just think I don't see it as a slam dunk. I think it's going to be a close game. The Dolphins are obviously the better team, but you're going to be Devontae Parker-less now for a while as he's put on IR, so you're going to be leaning on guys like Jalen Waddle and Mike Gesicki, who Mike Gesicki had a I day against the Jags.
I got to interrupt you this is a confused family right here. We got Josh Allen.
Okay.
We got Jim Kelly.
Okay.
And we got a 17 Jags jersey in DJ Chark.
Interesting.
With all due respect to the rest of the family, this guy's our favorite.
Yeah.
We like him. He was raised right. The rest of you, I don't know what's the matter with you. But this is good. Nice job, kid.
Oh, the kid has the DJ Chark jersey.
Yeah, DJ Chark.
Okay. Well done.
Now here's the problem for the kid. DJ Chark might be on Buffalo by next year. So.
Well, yeah.
Then we'll change. Well, hopefully we draft somebody that wears 17. We just have to change the name for
We'll get you
buddy.
some duct tape there.
But so the jersey watch continues here
I love
in
it.
Jacksonville.
Love jersey watch.
That's good, though. I like that the kid's a Jags fan. And see, they kind of train the daughter to be a Bills fan, it looks like. Now, I'm assuming that's their kids. But
yeah, that's a start.
But Dad's obviously – I mean, he's got Bill's socks on.
Wow.
Like Argyle socks on.
That's a thing?
Well, kind of that Argyle look.
Well, yeah.
But he's got him up to, like, his knees. Like, he's decked out. He's ready to go. He's in short sleeves and shorts. Like, he's a Buffalo guy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, makes sense.
All right, so the daughter is wearing Jim Kelly. She's never heard of Jim Kelly, but she's wearing a Jim Kelly jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was on clearance.
The kid walking with him, he's got the DJ Chark on. He's the only one. So he's a little out of place, but he's in the right place.
Yes.
So that's why
we're with it. We love to see it on that front. But, yeah, hopefully continues to stay in teal and not blue and red and white next year.
We got some more. We'll get another 23. Who did I say was 23 before? Not Willis McGahee.
Lynch,
yeah. So Marshawn Lynch wore 23 with the Bills? I don't remember that.
I was like 4, so I sure as heck don't remember that. You seen anything that
no, he's got a Hyde shirt on. Micah Hyde, not Carlos Hyde.
He's got the right Hyde.
Micah Hyde. Who wears a Micah Hyde jersey?
He's a diehard.
Are you like one of the only ones, probably? One of the only ones that has a Micah Hyde jersey. He got it in
at
Buffalo.
The team store.
I thought he was about to tell me he got it for free.
That would have been good. Seen any Chargers jerseys or anything? Anything out of the ordinary? You lost?
It's funny you say that because I was driving in and I saw a guy with Jags flags.
Okay.
but the guy in the passenger seat had a Chargers jersey on.
That is ironic.
I was so confused. I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's not.
I think that guy was trying to talk to me about his Hyde jersey, but
got a show to do here, sir.
Yeah.
We don't need a life story. We just want to know where the jersey came from, all right?
I like the jersey. That's my favorite part of the show now, watching all the jerseys.
Yeah.
Listen, if the Bills fans are going to be here, we're going to have fun with them.
Might as well.
Brett Martineau, Casey Kurtz, we call it ESPN 690 Game Day live from the DUUUVAL house right here at the foot of the Hart Bridge, of course, the teal-colored house, as you know. Brought to you by Phillips & Hunt, Folio Weekly 2.0. And our charity of choice today is Tom Coughlin J Fund. So stop on by. Any dollars that go toward the bartenders, any dollars for raffle tickets go toward raising money for families battling childhood cancer and the Tom Coughlin J Fund. All right, sorry I interrupted you around the NFL. What else catches your attention? You got later tonight, the Rams-Titans game could be interesting without Derrick Henry.
Yeah, absolutely. And Adrian Peterson is apparently the running back for the Titans in that one, sense that I didn't think I'd say this year, but that is what it is. And, hey, speaking of the Chargers, playing the Eagles, got to go across the country at home. Chargers did not look great last week. Eagles don't know what they are other than not that good. But that might be an interesting one with Jalen Hurts, obviously. And Ravens-Vikings is a good one. I think there's a lot of sneaky good games this week, and obviously a big storyline would be Jordan Love making his first start in Arrowhead against the Chiefs, a game you'd probably favor the Chiefs, but hey, Jordan Love was a first-round pick. We don't know what he is yet. It's probably a bit too much to expect him to be really good in Arrowhead in his first start that he found out he was starting in like 3 days before it happened. But
yeah.
There a lot of quality games. Cardinals 49ers is one. I mean, the Cardinals are a one-loss team, and like I think we said before, like we don't even trust them to win this game. Obviously, the Kyler Murray factor. Colt McCoy took a lot of first-team snaps for the Cardinals this week in practice, but I'm glad I'm out of Survivor because besides the Bills, I don't know what I would do here.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs' jersey just walked by the way. So
there we
go. That. Yeah, that's a good call. Jordan Love will be interesting. I think Kansas City kind of figures out a way to beat him and them, I think, although I don't think Kansas City's very good. And
agreed.
Got some arrival time, as you can tell. The police escort rolling in behind us. That's what that noise is if you're listening on the radio on ESPN690.com. ESPN690 if you're listening on ESPN690.com or Ask Alexa. That's what's happening. The buses, players, and coaches for the Bills are arriving behind me. And if you're watching, you can see it on Facebook,
I just saw
Twitter, and Twitch. That way you know I'm not lying.
That's true. No cap, Brent Martineau.
I want to go back to the Titans and Derrick Henry, though, because this is a huge development in the NFL. I mean, he could arguably be the MVP of the league. You can make the case. We wouldn't win it, most likely. But as everybody said this week, he might be the most valuable guy to his team, even more than some quarterbacks. And so what does that do to them? They have a lot of good players still on offense between Tannehill and A.J. Brown and others, and they kind of know who they are. But this was an offensive line that had been leaky at times this year. It's a defense that still is not that good, even though they might be getting incrementally better. I wonder about the Titans now, and Adrian Peterson's not it to me. I mean, he's fine and whatever, but there was a reason he wasn't playing. This probably doesn't go that well, and he's certainly not going to be Derrick Henry. I mean, you're talking about a team that has a comfortable lead, thankfully for them, in the AFC South by a couple games, and it's comfortable for now, but there's a lot of football left. I just have a hard time believing the Titans are going to roll on. Now, this would be a tough game even with Derrick Henry. I mean, going out to L.A. and the Rams are just better. But yes. I just start to wonder now, if you look up and you get a month ahead of ourselves, and the Titans are 1-3 in the month of November. Like, I think that's a real possibility for the Titans to now look into December and be locked into a battle without Derrick Henry with the Indianapolis Colts in the AFC South.
No, I think you're right, and I think it's fascinating. Just obviously Adrian Peterson, everybody knows the name, but he obviously hasn't been playing football this year. But I think it's fascinating how at the running back position, a position that we usually say is one of the shorter lifespans in the NFL, Adrian Peterson, who was the GOAT of running backs in, I would say, the 2000s, early 2010s. I don't know how you want to do that, but is now back in the league in 2021. Like, I just find that it's incredible to me. I don't know any other word to say. So I'm rooting for Adrian Peterson just because he was great He was cool in Madden. I used to run over people with him all the time when I was like 12. It was awesome. I had an Adrian Peterson jersey for no reason. Wasn't a Vikings fan. Don't like the color purple, but I had an Adrian Peterson jersey. So I'm now finding myself rooting for Adrian Peterson just because I want to see him do well. But yeah, to your point, I don't know how well he's going to actually do. And it's impossible to replace Derrick Henry, let's be honest. And against that Rams defense, Ryan Tannehill might have a tough day tonight.
A couple other thoughts on the NFL, and then we'll get into Odell Beckham when we come back, and also have some Saturday stars to keep an eye on for next year for the draft and for the Jags and who other teams that they'll be playing on Sunday. Casey does that each and every ESPN 690 Game Day live from the DUUUVAL house on home Jaguars Sundays. The Raiders are interesting now. They've had to handle a lot, from John Gruden to now Henry Ruggs. Mm-hmm. And I think there was some, did you see, the Arnett stuff that came out, too? I mean,
what in the world, man?
Mean, probably mild in comparison to everything else, but still, another thing.
Yeah.
Which was on social media, and I think in the background had, a lot of guns there and stuff and threatened somebody. And so, it's a social media thing right now rather than a league or a team thing. The bottom line is what I'm getting at here is the Raiders – who are one of those teams, I always say this, there are some teams that they just know distractions are going to exist. The New York Giants being in that market, whether you're good, bad, indifferent, you're probably going to have to deal with noise and
sure.
things that happen. The Dallas Cowboys, by nature of being America's team, if you will, and also having Jerry Jones as the owner, you're probably going to have to deal with noise. They did it forever, even with Michael Irvin and the good teams, and Jimmy Johnson and stuff. And so I think they get used to it. I think the Raiders kind of fit this. The Raiders over the years, from Al Davis to some, whatever kind of players to some whatever kind of controversy, they feel like they're able to deal with it in one way, shape, or form, where it might stun some locker rooms, maybe even a locker room like Jacksonville. And so I don't know if it bothers the Raiders, but you soon have to figure out if it does, because that's a tough one now on everybody in the locker room. The Ruggs situation is so sad and on so many levels, and obviously our thoughts and everybody's thoughts should be with the victim's family, and just a terrible situation. But for those guys, he's friends. He's buddies with them. He was their teammate a couple of days ago in his life. He ruined his own life and ruined others' lives. But how does this impact their football team? What's their psyche? What's their mentality? I don't know, man. I don't know if this one stings them a bit to the point where it impacts what they're doing on the field. And so I think the Raiders are really interesting. They're having a good season, and they have to deal with all this stuff. And now I kind of wonder, I think this is a critical month for them. They play the Giants today. What's their mentality? What's their psyche like for the next month? Are they going to stay in this race? Are they going to keep leading the division? Or are they going to now not be in the right place from a football standpoint, mentality, lose some games maybe they shouldn't lose, because on paper they should beat the Giants, and then all of a sudden you bring everybody back in the fold, perhaps a Kansas City team that finds itself and now goes to 5-4. The Chargers have had a tough couple of weeks, but they look to be a pretty good team and will probably find a groove at some point. I think the Raiders are really fascinating right now. As sad as they are off the field, they are fascinating what it might look like on the field here in the month of November.
I think, you're absolutely right. And I have grown to love Derek Carr. I think what Derek Carr has done on the field as well as in front of a microphone, going from the first game of the season where they win on Monday Night Football and he compliments his whole team and everything. I think what he has done to publicly keep that team together, obviously what he said about Henry Ruggs and what he said about John Gruden, I think is just incredible. And what I believe to be the impact he has inside the locker room is absolutely intangible. So I think Derek Carr has done an incredible job and will continue to do an incredible job to will that team to win. And that's why I think they will win these games against the Giants, where, it's going to be a tough task going from L.A. to New York City. That's not a great road trip, but I just have so much admiration now for Derek Carr and what he's done publicly and even privately for what I believe for that team. I think the Raiders are going to be okay solely because of Derek Carr.
Yeah, how about the maturation of Derek Carr? I mean, we talk about it with Josh Allen here and what they've done from an on-the-field point of view. Derek Carr's playing unbelievable football, too, for him this year. And so his maturation as a quarterback, even losing his head coach, you'd think would be pretty important, is pretty good stuff. All right, if you're watching on the Twitter feeds, you got Ketchup and Mustard walking by right now from the Bills fans.
Snap and
Josh
pick?
Allen.
Is that what that was?
I did. Who's 11?
Isn't that Beasley?
Beasley wear 11?
I believe so.
Oh, that's a Beasley jersey. Really? Beasley? Cole Beasley?
Yeah,
you spent money on a Cole Beasley jersey?
Is it a authentic or is it maybe a knockoff? Is it a $30? Or, yeah. Well, then it's probably real, to be honest.
Hopefully. Well, I'm not good at that.
You would know. You're a smart guy.
I can't tell because she's got a jacket on covering it up, too, so I couldn't tell the last name, like if it was an old number 11 or something, you know?
Yeah. Well, Beasley is definitely 11, so my goodness.
There are a lot of Bills fans.
Have we seen any Gabriel Davis jerseys? UCF guy.
No Gabriel Davis yet.
Darn it. Now we're playing bingo at this point.
Yeah, a little bit of bingo on the card.
How about
for the
Trubisky?
Buffalo Bills. No Trubisky yet.
Dang it.
Nah.
We'll get there.
I was did you see the Trubisky went on the COVID list?
Yeah, that's tough.
I thought we were going to get the breaks of all breaks, and Josh Allen is contact close. Would have to sit this game, and like Jake Fromm would play or somebody. Is Jake Fromm still on the Bills?
Unconfirmed. I actually just had the depth chart up. Looks like Davis Webb would be the third string.
Wow, what happened to Fromm? Is he on the practice squad or something?
You would have to think, but hey, kickers got drafted and punters got drafted before Jake Fromm that year. So practice squad, Jake Fromm. You would have had to seen an activation there. Mitch Trubisky, by the way, most underrated quarterback of all time. Not going to get into it, but you see what the Bears are now. Maybe they shouldn't have gave up on Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I think they're happy to have Justin Fields. We'll be back. ESPN690 Game Day live from the DUUUVAL House here on a Sunday morning. What about Odell Beckham Jr.? We talk a little bit about that when we come back on ESPN690.
What's up? It's Casey of Action Sports Jax. If you can't catch the show live, just search Action Sports Jax wherever you get your podcasts to make sure you don't miss moments like this.
Now, keep in mind, you're sitting next to Mr. Thanksgiving right now because I absolutely stuffed the stat column.
You sure did.
And they called me Mr. Thanksgiving.
Nobody
called
you that.
I don't want to brag.
You called yourself that, maybe.
I don't want to brag. We're talking 4 points.
Yep.
We're talking 2 rebounds.
Yep.
We're talking a steal.
Okay.
We're talking a block.
Yep.
And I almost broke a guy's ankle. I'm just saying, if you find yourselves around some Jacksonville Giants and all of a sudden one of them starts saying, is that stovetop dressing?
Oh, jeez.
What is that? What is that? Is that cranberry sauce? Oh, Mr. Thanksgiving's in the house. And that's who you know they're talking about me.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Today is definitely the pick of the weekend, starting off cloudy, but we will have gradually clearing skies, becoming partly sunny by the afternoon with breezy winds, temperatures much warmer than yesterday, back into the mid-60s. Mostly clear and chilly tonight, dropping down into the mid-40s, but milder by Monday into the upper 60s with mostly sunny skies. I'm meteorologist Alyssa Pedgick, and that's your Action News Jax First Alert forecast.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, where now you can save up to 41% off during Beard's anniversary sale.
John Stash and I were here from Westwood One with a preview of Sunday Night Football when the Los Angeles Rams host the Titans. Ryan Tannehill and Tennessee are on a 4-game winning streak and lead their division, but now must find a way to win without the league's leading rusher, Derrick Henry, following last week's foot injury. Head coach Mike Vrabel knows it's a big loss.
We're going to have to be creative, and we're going to have to figure out answers and way to move the football and continue to run our offense. And a lot of that is probably still up in the air. And I know that Derrick's going to work extremely hard to get back to do everything he can to help this football team.
Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp are posting big numbers for the 7-1 Rams, who have also won 4 straight. Ryan Radke and Ryan Leaf will have the call of the Titans at the Rams on Sunday Night Football.
Get ready for the game with more details and preview at WestwoodOneSports.com. And remember to listen for the NFL right here all season long.
For the ones who get going when the going gets tough. And the ones who know we're tougher together. For the Pathfinders breaking new ground. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as fast access to experts and 24/7 customer support. Because we know you have people depending on you. So you can always depend on us. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, frequent heartburn may keep you from running your A game, but it doesn't have to anymore. Join the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. Just go to prilosecotc.com. You'll get $3 off to get you started, plus 14 days of tips, tricks, and reminders. Just 2 weeks, zero heartburn. Go to prilosecotc.com and sign up today. Zero heartburn is possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Life is already full of surprises, but your tuition shouldn't be one of them. While education costs rise in the U.S. every year, University of Phoenix is committed to protecting you from rising tuition costs with our tuition guarantee. We lock in your tuition so you can count on fixed, affordable tuition from the moment you enroll to the day you graduate from your program. Learn more at phoenix.edu.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Austin Lane from Action Sports Jacks on ESPN690. Smart speakers are becoming part of everyday life, so why not use it to listen to the radio? Tell Alexa, Google Home, or any other speaker to play ESPN690. Give it a shot weekday afternoons from 3 to 6.
Dolphins hung in there pretty tight with them. There's no secret this thing has been built the right way. They've done an excellent job. I think we talked about that earlier in the week. All three levels of offense and defense are very well put together. Maybe the most complete team I've seen on film so far.
All right, that's Urban Meyer talking about the Buffalo Bills. All right, Jersey Watch continues here. I just saw, got more Diggs now. Got another Stephon Diggs jersey.
All right.
Got a really good kid there wearing a James Robinson jersey next
Yes,
to
sir.
somebody who's a bad guy wearing a Diggs jersey.
Yep.
We've got Trevor Lawrence walking down the street now.
Also good.
Just saw Diggs, Trey White, and Cole Beasley in a cluster.
I like it because no Josh Allen.
There was no Josh Allen.
Those are the diehards.
Now, there's some ladies getting out of the car there. Josh Allen.
No good.
Trey White.
Better.
And 91. Who the hell is that?
Please hold. Tell the people about the Gabriel Davis you saw.
I saw a Gabriel Davis sweatshirt.
Ed Oliver. Wow.
Ed Oliver jersey. There we go. I saw one of those earlier today. Josh Allen. Josh Allen making some cash off his jerseys.
Literally. At this point, if we had the bingo card, somebody would have it. Between Ed Oliver, Micah Hyde, Cole Beasley. Josh Allen's the free spot, obviously.
Yeah, free spot is Josh Allen. That's a good call, though. I mean, that's a good one right there, Ed Oliver. You know, here's a little story about Ed Oliver.
All right.
Ed Oliver, one of his main coaches, I think he was his collegiate coach at Houston, like position coach. This guy also coached high school, too, in the Houston area. So now I'm confused whether it was his high school coach or whether it's his position coach at Houston. A.J. Blum is his name. Former Ashland University Eagle. So I remember the year that Ed Oliver got drafted, I saw A.J. for the first time in like 20 years, and he was there with Ed Oliver. And kind of wondered, actually, at the time in that draft, if the Jags might look at Ed Oliver. And I think Ed Oliver got off to a slow start in his career, but I think he's come around nicely, you know. It just goes to show you sometimes, too, like, if you surround, even if you're not, like, this blue-chip guy, if you start surrounding these players with good players, well, then they all play better. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, that's a natural thing, right? But it's what I say right now about Shaq Griffin. Like, Shaq Griffin and Josh Allen are playing pretty good football. Like, how good a football would they play if they had other players playing good football, too?
Yeah.
You know, like if they had more talent on that roster. And I think that part's pretty interesting. When it comes to the Bills, they're kind of built like that. They don't have, like, this one star on defense, but they're all pretty good football players.
Yeah.
And because of that, the whole unit is really good. So there's different ways to do it. You look at the Rams. The Rams have a weak player or two, like, I don't know about a week, but, you know, a guy that you don't even know back there in the secondary, but they have Jalen Ramsey. And now they just added, obviously, along with Aaron Donald, they add Von Miller. So you've got these studs, which allow other people to play well, too. And then they have some no-name guys that play pretty well. So,
and with that point, like with Ed Oliver, obviously you drafted him in the first round in the top 10, and it's as a defensive tackle, it's kind of like that's interesting you do that. But these have been their picks recently: Trey White, Josh Allen, Tremaine Edmonds, Ed Oliver, Greg Rousseau. So
yeah,
they decided they were going to build the defense, and I don't know if it's – I guess it's a little bit of luck. They hit on all of those. Now, some of them took some time, to your point, Ed Oliver and Josh Allen, but they hit.
Yeah, they've done a good job of it. Oh, wow. Now, listen, we got 83 and 78. Hold on a second.
It's got to be parents.
83. What's up, man? That's Ed Reed. Andre Reed. That's an old Bills jersey.
Yeah.
So that was an old Bills jersey there. We got Josh Allen, Trey White. We got a selfie we're taking while we're live on the radio. What's up? All right.
Is that Tebow?
That was a Tebow jersey. So he's about as out of place as, I don't know, an Andre Reed jersey right now.
And selfies with Brent.
Here in town. Yeah, we'll get the selfie going.
Live on the radio.
I got a Toronto Blue Jays sweatshirt walking toward me. Now that's a Bills fan. Well,
different.
That makes sense, though, right?
I don't know. I don't know the geography of Canada.
Welcome the Bills. Bring the Toronto Blue Jays with you.
Yeah. Have we seen any Buffalo Sabres jerseys, by the way?
No, but
of course
LaShawn McCoy jersey.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I'm surprised, actually, I don't see more LaShawn McCoy jerseys.
Yeah, he was good for them in general, but.
All right. So this show has turned into the Jersey Watch. That's how many, by the way, Bills fans are in Jacksonville.
That's a good point, yeah.
All right, I got this question for you, and then I've got about 10, 15 minutes to go before I head in for TV and you wrap up the show.
All right.
Where will Odell Beckham Jr. land?
Man, I would love to tell you Jacksonville, because I am in the camp that Odell Beckham Jr. is still a very quality receiver and got bad luck with Baker Mayfield and a team that wanted to run the football. Obviously, you're alluding to the report today that he wants to go to a contender. No surprise. And I think the team that continuously comes back to my brain, and it's no secret, it's no coincidence that we just talked about him, is the Raiders. The Raiders need help. They're in a position to continue their winning ways and stay atop the division. You give Derek Carr, who I think is really good, a very quality receiver. I think that could do wonders for your team. So I don't know why, but I keep coming back to Raiders.
Yeah, I think Raiders could be in play, but it looks like Deshaun Jackson's going to end up there, right? Didn't he have a meeting with the Raiders? Did I see that correctly?
I hadn't seen that, but you're a little more connected than I am, so I'll take your word for it, and I will try to confirm.
Yeah, try to check that out, but I think he might have met with them, and it's working toward. I think I saw that with I think Michael Silver had that, and followed a couple of the Raiders guys, and I think they then retweeted it and saw that too. So it's not a done deal, but it looked like it could be heading toward that.
Yeah, they have spoken. You are correct.
Yeah, so if they get him, I doubt they get Odell Beckham Jr. as well. Keep in mind now, the money is funny here because of the way they did that deal to exit Cleveland. I don't think anybody has clearly stated how much money's left on that deal. Like, I've seen some reports where it's $7 million.
I've seen those as well.
I'm not sure, like, the Jags are going in on $7 million Odell Beckham Jr. I think it could be more friendly than that because if Odell wants to go to a contender, they're not going to most likely have a lot of money. So he has to be able to fit under their cap. And I think they're trying to create a situation where that could happen for him. So it's really interesting to see where he could land. The Jags are like fourth on the waiver wire. The waiver wire will go on Monday. I do not anticipate the Jags going after Odell Beckham Jr. But if you are trying to win football games, I don't know how you can say with what you have at wide receiver right now that Odell Beckham Jr. couldn't help you or at least give you a chance to get better and win football games and give you a threat on the offensive side of things. So, I would love for them to do it just because it's something they don't usually do. And if I believe it's low risk, depending on how much money's at play here, because if you don't think it's a fit, if it's not working out after a couple, 3 weeks, whatever, then just let him go. You can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't look at this as a rental. This is potential to be like, hey, let's get him in here, see if it fits and see if it works. So from a Jags point of view, I like the upside of it. Like you said, Odell Beckham Jr. has, not surprisingly, said, I'd like to go to a contender. So does that limit his choices based on money? I think the Saints are in play here.
Yeah.
With Michael Thomas being out and them being in first place. Could a team like the Titans be in play with Julio Jones not really playing well and now losing Derrick Henry and being in first place and maybe put more emphasis on the passing game?
It's interesting.
I doubt it, but it would be a sleeper for me. The Patriots have no wide receivers.
It's also a very good
and
one.
they have never had they have never shied away from bringing these, personalities in, if you will.
Sure.
Although they did that with Tom Brady, not necessarily a rookie quarterback. So I think those are some landing spots potentially for a guy like Odell Beckham Jr. I would probably, if I had to put money on it, pick the Saints right now.
Interesting.
Because they know they're not going to have Thomas, right? I mean, he's out for the year.
Yeah.
And that changes some of their plans and what they had. And I think Sean Payton, because he's such an offensive guy, could probably do some things with Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, many people really respect the mind of Sean Payton. I think he could find a way to make Trevor Siemian, if that's who it's going to be for the rest of the year, and it looks like that's who it's going to be, the best he can possibly be by giving him a weapon. And now you have Odell Beckham Jr. and Alvin Kamara. That's not bad.
No, it's definitely not. And Field Yates a couple days ago put out where everybody stands cap-wise in the NFL. And if the number is 7, the Jags could take on the $7 million and still have $20 million of cap space if these numbers are correct. So
absolutely. They've got more money than anybody in the league.
I mean, yes, they are number 1 on this list by, ironically, $7 million. So here's my thing. Even if it's I know it's unlikely to happen. I think Odell is still a number 1 receiver. I think he still gives you that opportunity. And even if it's 7, even if it's 8, even if it's $10 million, I think the Jags should be interested because I can't imagine a scenario where it does not help Trevor Lawrence in some way. And that's what matters, right?
Yeah, that is what matters. So here's I just saw this, okay? And this is a clip that somebody just tweeted out. Beckham does not want to go to just any team. According to sources familiar with his thinking, Beckham wants to spend the rest of this season with a playoff contender and in a winning environment, which, by the way, if he never left Cleveland, that's where he would have been.
Yeah.
Where he believes he would be happy and productive. If a team that does not fit this criteria claims Beckham in the $7.25 million remaining on his contract, there could be potential issues for that team. According to a source, although it's unclear exactly what those issues would be. And so somebody says that he could threaten shoulder surgery because he's had some issues, right, with the shoulder. And so that would be an interesting scenario. I think I told you I looked around the league or asked around the league a little bit on like, why wouldn't the Jags be more interested? And one of the reasons for the Jags potentially staying away could be the $7.25 million, could be a culture fit. But also in this kind of exit deal that his agent worked out, he might have deterred some of the bad teams, the teams higher on the waiver wire, by putting an injury settlement in for, like, next year, like a guaranteed type of injury settlement, which then would be a more risky deal for a team looking down the road at building, and that would go against their cap and all this kind of stuff. So it's complicated. I don't even know if I fully understand it, but there are ways to make it look less attractive to a team higher on the waiver wire. And that could potentially be in play here for a guy that wants to go to a contender. I understand why Odell Beckham Jr. wants to go to a contender, but you know what? Here's the deal. One quick thought before I get out of here on Odell Beckham Jr. You know, we talk about all the time in the NFL how, like, players want to rip up their deals when they outperform them.
Mm-hmm.
And ownership usually has to, well, not usually, but sometimes, like, okay, let's do a new deal now that the market's been reset. Well, in fairness to the teams, like, they're trying to do good business by taking care of you early, and they run the risk that you don't live up to that contract. But then ownership, once the guy does live up to the contract and outperforms it, now he wants to rip it up and make $5 million more a year.
Right.
And usually the player wins on that side, or he asks out, or he causes a problem, or whatever. Well, Odell Beckham Jr., isn't he like the opposite? I mean, he's getting a good amount of money.
Yeah.
And he hasn't performed up to his contract. So I kind of feel like Odell Beckham Jr., like, what kind of leverage should Odell Beckham Jr. really have in this situation? He asked out and wanted out of Cleveland. He has underperformed his contract. Like, should Odell Beckham Jr. have all these, like, options to be able to say, yeah, well, I want to go to a contender now. I'm going to do this if you send me to somewhere else. It's like, listen, dude, you want it out. If you get out and you end up in Jacksonville, well, hopefully you like it better than Cleveland. You're the one that wanted out.
Right. No, that's a really good point. I just think at this point in OBJ's career, I think his name still carries a lot, which it should. And I think it's easy to look at the limited amount of chances he has had to make plays with Cleveland and Baker Mayfield. So I think that's why he carries so much weight in getting to choose where he goes. But you're right. He has underperformed this deal. And, yeah, it's an unfortunate situation if you're a team like Jacksonville that could really use Odell Beckham and by the rules of the league should have an opportunity to get him before other teams, but because of how this is all playing out, they won't have that option.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. Like, I was asked somebody, it's like, why don't the Jags ever pick up these kind of guys? Somebody brought up, I guess, like Jason Babin would have been one of these, like, acquisitions for the Jags, like back in 2012 or something, and they ended up keeping him for a couple years, and he had some productive. It was okay. It was okay. Babin actually still lives in town. Like, he wasn't as productive as he had been, like, I think, in Philly. But I think that that would fit as a guy that had done some things, also came with a little bit of a reputation, but the Jags took a chance on picking up, I think.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look, but somebody mentioned it. So, anyway, we'll see. I don't think the Jags are going to land Odell Beckham Jr. I will say this. I would like the Jags to be in play for Odell Beckham Jr. If you're trying to win football games, you have some weakness right now at the receiver spot. You have money. You can't, if you have $30 million to spend and you have more money than anybody else and you're losing football games, then are you really trying to win as much as you could be trying to win? That's a fair question.
Yeah.
And so money talks in the NFL. So why not at least look into this? I don't think he lands here, but I would hope they at least took a hard look and wrestle with it and maybe even put a claim if the opportunity presents itself, whether he says no or doesn't come or has shoulder surgery or whatever it might be, or they don't get it because somebody else picked them up beforehand. That's a little higher than them on the waiver wire. So be it. By the way, did have a Paul Posluszny Bills jersey.
Wow.
Now I got the Paul Posluszny Jags jersey walking by. Paul Posluszny will be here today. It's alumni weekend for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So if you go near the Dreamfinders homes and also I think near Daly's place around 11:30 to 12:30, somewhere in that area, you'll get a bunch of former Jags players, including Jimmy Smith, including Josh Scobie, including Cecil Shorts, Paul Posluszny, you name it.
Those guys are going to be thrilled when they
Kyle
find
Brady, you can name them all. So they'll all be here. And they will be signing autographs, taking pictures, those kind of things. So Jags Alumni Weekend. A lot of Bills fans get ready for that. Game at 1 o'clock on CBS 47. Casey's going to take it from here. I'm going to hustle in for countdown to kickoff at 11:30. And once again, just a reminder that we are at the DUUUVAL House every Jags home game. So that means we'll be here quite a bit in the month of November. Jags have 3 home games this month. It's ESPN 690 Game Day Live, brought to you by the DUUUVAL House, Phillips & Hunt, and Folio Weekly 2.0. And one more shout-out to the Tom Coughlin J Fund. They are the beneficiary of the funds raised here at the DUUUVAL House today. There's always a charitable outfit. There'll be music. There's food. Come on by. Say hello. And should be a good morning and afternoon, hopefully, in Jacksonville for some football. Weather's fantastic. Hopefully the football game is too. Casey, take it from here, man. We'll see you on TV coming up at 11:30 on CBS 47. We'll be right back on ESPN 690. If you're like me, you come home from work and walk through a messy garage hurdling shoes and bats and bikes. Well, get the easy garage solution that I got. It's called Easy Garage Solutions. One-of-a-kind monkey bar technology that will last a lifetime. Hang the bikes and the lawn equipment. Easy Garage Solutions. Shelving and overhead storage for boxes and bins. Easy Garage Solutions. Cabinets and flooring available too. Easy Garage Solutions. Find them at easygaragesolutions.com. Easy Garage Solutions. It's that easy.
Though no longer little, teens still need a lot of love. Yet teens in foster care have a harder time finding it, as 82% of foster families are home to kids 12 or younger. You can positively impact a teen's life as a foster parent. With help from Family Support Services of North Florida, you provide patience, love, and understanding, and Family Support Services will offer specialized training, resources, and a community of support. Take the next step at foster-now.org. That's foster-now.org.
There's no way that's used. Get ready, because you're going to hear that a lot after you buy an amazing, like-new, pre-owned from our friends over at Arlington Toyota. Arlington's got 300 used available. All makes, all models. Plus, you'll buy with total confidence thanks to Arlington's 30-day exchange program that comes with your purchase. That's 30 days to love your purchase or exchange it. Shop in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com today.
I am one of thousands of women with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC,
which is breast cancer that has spread to other parts of the body.
I am living in the moment and taking Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for postmenopausal women or for men with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy.
Be in your moment. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com.
Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Just be confident. Community First makes smarter banking simple so you can relax, knowing you're managing your money the right way. Yours. Visit justbeyourself.com. Community First Credit Union. Just be yourself. Federally insured by NCUA.
Listen to ESPN 690 anytime, anywhere, on any device. Whether you're at home or on the go, get the latest on the Jags, FSU, the Jumbo Shrimp, and Action Sports Jacks on Odyssey.com. That's AUDACY.com or on ESPN690.com.
I mean, it's always a good opportunity when you're playing a great team. You got a good opportunity to go out there and show what you can do and go beat a really good team. But every week, I mean, any team can beat you. You see the Seahawks had lost a few in a row, and we came in and laid an egg, played terrible, and they killed us. So stuff like that, I mean, every week you come ready and play your best to win. And so doesn't matter who you're playing, that's the motivation, is that you can get beat any week, and you also can beat anyone any week. So that's how we look at it, but it's definitely exciting to get an opportunity to play them because they've been playing so well.
Trevor Lawrence, quarterback of your Jacksonville Jaguars. We got a couple minutes to go here. ESPN 690 Game Day live from the DUUUVAL house. Brent Martineau is on his way to the bank. If you're in traffic and you're listening, I say this every week, please get out of Brent's way. Not on that entitlement stuff. He's just a busy man, and the show cannot go on without him. He needs to get in there for a television show. So if he's crossing in front of you in the street, please let him go. Please don't hit him. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence is right. They did lay an egg against Seattle last week. They're going to try to not do that this week against a better Buffalo Bills team. We'll see how that plays out. We'll talk about that here in a second. But I want to talk about some guys who are making names on Saturday that will translate to Sundays coming up in the near future. We do this every week on this show when the Jags are at home. ESPN 690 Game Day live from the DUUUVAL house. That's where you can find Brent every Jags home game from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We start with Aiden Hutchinson. He is an edge rusher from Michigan. 93.7 PFF grade this year. That is the highest of any edge rusher in college football. 6 sacks and a forced fumble this season. Aiden Hutchinson, watch out for him. This is going to be a defensive players draft. A lot of the projected first-round picks are on the defensive side of the football. Another one is Jordan Davis, who is very similar to Ed Oliver in the way of he is a run-stuffing defensive tackle. He does a lot of the dirty work. 2 sacks on the season. He is 6'6", 340 pounds. My goodness. Brent Martineau, by the way, loves this guy. Talked a lot about him last week for Florida-Georgia week. He is a member of the Georgia Bulldogs. He will be a very quality NFL player, and he will stuff the run very well. Kenneth Walker, 3, former Wake Forest Demon Deacon, current Michigan State running back, ran it 23 times for 146 yesterday on the season, 198 carries, 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6.8 per rush on the season. He has been incredible. And a quarterback that I didn't think we'd be talking about a lot of the quarterbacks I thought we'd be talking about, we haven't been. But let's talk about Kenny Pickett from Pitt. 28 for 43, 416 and 3 yesterday on the season. Just over 3,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. Added 3 other rushing touchdowns on the ground for 185 yards. And we want to get that O-line some love. Trevor Penning, Northern Iowa offensive tackle, you better believe it. 6'7", 321, only allowed 5 pressures this season and 212 pass blocking downs. So those are the Saturday stars that are going to translate to Sunday stars coming up next year. We do that each and every week. We are doing this show, which is ESPN 690 Game Day Live from the DUUUVAL House. Brent Martineau on the way to the stadium. Casey Kurtz with you for another 2 minutes and 45 seconds. We like to get the times exact when I'm in charge. So what we're going to do is we're going to run down a couple of these games to look out for that we haven't talked about yet at length. Browns, Bengals, going to kick off at 1 o'clock in Cincinnati is a big one. Browns had a lot happen this week with Odell Beckham Jr. no longer being a member of their team. Bengals coming off a loss to the Jets, which is crazy. The Bengals are a good team. I don't know which way this one goes. The Browns are going to want to run the ball. The Bengals are going to want to throw the ball. There's going to be some defense. There's going to be a lot of things. That's a good one to watch out for. Game with a lot of defense, by the way. Patriots, Panthers, Mac Jones, and the boys are going to go to Carolina. Stephon Gilmore revenge game, maybe, as he is active and playing for the Panthers. So that's going to be a fun one to watch. Dolphins, Texans, I think, is going to be a good one as well. Tyrod Taylor is back for Houston. Like that one. Interested in that one. Tyrod Taylor, a sneaky DFS play this week. Obviously, Jordan Love making his first career start is going to be interesting as well. Chiefs should be able to get that done, but we're going to find out a lot about the Packers besides Aaron Rodgers with Jordan Love under center, and it all comes back to the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1 o'clock kick, CBS 47. Leading up to the game, you can obviously see countdown to kickoff with the entire Action Sports Jacks team, Brent Martineau, Marcel Robinson, Stuart Weber, Olivia Tasley. All of the squad will be doing that in just a few minutes. But when you look at this game, 14.5, potentially up to 15.5 some places. If you're interested in that, that's how many points the Jags will be getting at home, which is crazy to think this is the NFL and you're getting 15 points. But the situation is this. The Bills are really good. The Jags are not. Take the Bills and take the points. That's what I would do. If you're going to the game, enjoy it, stay warm. Weird thing to say in Jacksonville, but please do that. It's a little chilly out there. Enjoy the game. If you're not going, CBS 47, 11:30 countdown to kick off. The game is at 1. Post-game show on the Action News Jacks app. You'll see Brent and the squad breaking this one down, and we'll be here tomorrow, 3 to 6. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, and myself will be talking about it right here on ESPN 690. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the football. Sunday night football, Rams and Titans right here on ESPN 690. That'll get started at 7:30. Listen to that one. We'll talk to you at 3 tomorrow. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Quitting tobacco isn't easy. The good news is, Tobacco-Free Florida is here to help